Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. After Hassan Nasrallah, the Israeli army kills another top Hezbollah commander, Nabil Kaok. Lebanon's caretaker PM Mikati says there is no option but the diplomatic option. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar hits out at Pakistan, stating that Pakistan's cross-border terrorism will never succeed. Warns neighbouring country of consequences for its actions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanks listeners as radio program Mann Ki Baat completes 10 years of its broadcast. Highlights various campaigns and initiatives launched by the government in last 10 years. And in sports, Sri Lanka clinches Test Series 2-0 against New Zealand, beats Kiwis by an innings and 154 runs in Galle Test. Israel and Hezbollah are logged in ongoing exchanges of fire following the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. In a recent overnight strike in Beirut, the Israeli army killed Nabil Kaok, a top commander in the group. Amid the crisis, Lebanon's Prime Minister Najib Mikati emphasized the need for a diplomatic solution. Rabindra Chauhan gets us more.
Israel and banned terror outfit Hezbollah continue to exchange fire. A day after killing Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, the Israeli army eliminated another top leader of the terror outfit. In an overnight airstrike on Beirut, Israeli airstrikes killed the commander Nabil Kaok. Kaok was Hezbollah's commander of preventive security unit residing in the heart of capital Beirut. Hezbollah has not yet commented on Kaok's death, but confirmed that its senior leader Ali Karaki was also killed in the Israeli strike. Israel continues its strikes in Lebanon following the killing of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah, while Hezbollah has announced it will keep firing. In response, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati stated that the country has no option but to pursue a diplomatic solution. His remarks came after an emergency government committee meeting during which Information Minister said diplomatic efforts for a ceasefire with Israel are underway.
We will not hesitate for a moment to follow up on the role of diplomacy, and we have no choice but the diplomatic option. If you notice, from the beginning when it started, we said the full implementation of 1701 United Nations Security Council's resolution on peace settlement in 2006 Lebanon war that the government is committed to, and I also mentioned that in the Security Council in my speech.
Affirming Iran's support for Lebanon, Iran has said that Israel's killing of Hezbollah leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah will not go unanswered, and it will always stand by the resistance front and the people of Lebanon, especially Hezbollah.
Certainly, this martyrdom is a great loss, but it will not cause any disruption in the resistance. And just like the martyrdom of the previous Secretary General of Hezbollah, Sayyid Abbas Ali Mulawi, the blood of martyr Nasrallah led to the growth and strength of Hezbollah and the growth of more forces. And today, the extent of Hezbollah's power is not comparable.
Such assassinations, blind and covert assassinations, will have no result for the survival of this regime. And these actions are done out of desperation, and the result of this pure blood, without a doubt, is the acceleration of the fall of this fake regime.
Protests against killing of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah are also being seen in many countries. Activists protested escalating West Asia crisis outside UK base in Cyprus on Sunday. Thousands of protesters gathered at Sydney's town hall to protest death of Hezbollah leader.
Shame! Shame! Shame on you!
Left area! Left area!
Amid the ongoing Israeli airstrikes across Lebanon, operations in Gaza continue. The Israeli army has released a new video footage showing a tunnel in Gaza and its subsequent explosion. The video displays the tunnel's shaft and its concrete reinforced interior before showing forces wiring up the tunnel and its explosion as seen from afar. Bureau Report, DD, India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation on Sunday in the 114th edition of his monthly program, Mann Ki Baat. As the program completes its 10 glorious years, PM Modi expressed his happiness and highlighted key issues concerning the people of India. DD India's Mihir Maikuri provides a complete roundup of the key moments from the Prime Minister's address. Take a listen.
Nearly 10 years ago, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a revolutionary monthly radio program, Mann Ki Baat. Today, this program has become a unique platform that celebrates the spirit of India and showcases collective strength of the nation. In a heartfelt address during the 114th edition of the program, he called the listeners the real anchors of the show.
मन की बात की इस लंबी यात्रा के कई ऐसे पड़ाव हैं जिन्हें मैं कभी भूल नहीं सकता। मन की बात के करोड़ों श्रोता हमारी इस यात्रा के ऐसे साथी हैं जिनका मुझे निरंतर सहयोग मिलता रहा। देश के कोने-कोने से उन्होंने जानकारियां उपलब्ध कराई। मन की बात के श्रोता ही इस कार्यक्रम के असली सूत्रधार हैं।
It's not only Mann Ki Baat, but the Indian government's Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or Clean India mission, which is also completing its 10 years. In his address, PM Modi urged countrymen to encourage more Indians to join the campaign.
मेरा आप सबसे आग्रह है कि आप भी अपने परिवार, दोस्तों, पड़ोसियों या सहकर्मियों के साथ मिलकर स्वच्छता अभियान में हिस्सा जरूर लें। मैं एक बार फिर स्वच्छ भारत मिशन की सफलता पर आप सभी को बधाई देता हूं।
Acknowledging the changing nature of jobs, Prime Minister Modi underscored the immense potential of India's creative talents and called upon creators to participate in the 25 challenges under the theme Create in India, organized by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting.
आपके टैलेंट और क्रिएटिविटी को बढ़ावा देने के लिए भारत सरकार का सूचना और प्रसारण मंत्रालय ने क्रिएट इन इंडिया इस थीम के तहत 25 चैलेंजेस शुरू किए हैं। ये चैलेंजेस आपको जरूर दिलचस्प लगेंगे। इनमें शामिल होने के लिए आप wavesindia.org पर लॉगिन कर सकते हैं।
The Prime Minister also expressed his happiness over the return of antiquities from the United States and remarked on how ancient Indians were thoughtful about art.
इन कलाकृतियों को देखकर पता चलता है कि हमारे पूर्वज बारीकियों का कितना ध्यान रखते थे। कला को लेकर उनमें गजब की सूझबूझ थी। इनमें से बहुत सी कलाकृतियों को तस्करी और दूसरे अवैध तरीकों से देश के बाहर ले जाया गया था। यह गंभीर अपराध है। एक तरह से यह अपनी विरासत को खत्म करना जैसा है। लेकिन मुझे इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि पिछले एक दशक में ऐसी कई कलाकृतियां और हमारी बहुत सारी प्राचीन धरोहरों की घर वापसी हुई हैं।
All in all, Mann Ki Baat highlighted the inspiring life journeys of outstanding Indians. Mihir Maikuri reporting for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday virtually laid the foundations of and inaugurated various projects in the Maharashtra state. The projects are worth over 11,200 crore rupees. PM Modi unveiled the Pune Metro section of District Court to Swargate, which marked the completion of Pune Metro Rail Project Phase 1. He also dedicated to the nation the Bidkin Industrial Area, which spread over nearly 8,000 acres under the National Industrial Corridor Development Program.
छत्रपति संभाजी नगर में लगभग 8,000 एकड़ में बिडकिन इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया का विस्तार होगा। कई बड़े बड़े उद्योगों के लिए यहां जमीन अलॉट हो गई है। इससे यहां हजारों करोड़ का निवेश आएगा। इससे हजारों युवाओं को रोजगार मिलेगा। निवेश से नौकरी पैदा करने का ये मंत्र आज महाराष्ट्र में युवाओं की बड़ी ताकत बन रहा है।
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that Pakistan's GDP can only be measured in terms of radicalization and its exports in the form of terrorism. Speaking at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly in New York, Jaishankar said that Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, stressing that actions will certainly have consequences. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh too slammed Pakistan, saying misuse of financial aid has been going on in Pakistan for a long time.
India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said Pakistan is making a conscious choice of being left behind in the global order due to its karma, launching a scathing attack on Pakistan. Jaishankar said its GDP can be measured in terms of radicalization and exports in the form of terrorism.
Many countries get left behind due to circumstances beyond their control. But some make conscious choices with disastrous consequences. A premier example is our neighbor, Pakistan. Unfortunately, their misdeeds affect others as well, especially the neighborhood. When this polity instills such fanaticism among its people, its GDP can only be measured in terms of radicalization and its exports in the form of terrorism. Today, we see the ills it sought to visit on others consume its own society. It can't blame the world. This is only karma.
External Affairs Minister further pointed out that Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed.
Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, and it can have no expectation of impunity. On the contrary, actions will certainly have consequences.
Besides Jaishankar, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also hit out at Pakistan. Addressing an election rally in Gurez Assembly segment under Bandipora district, India's Defence Minister said that India would have given a larger bailout package to Pakistan than the one sought by a neighbour from International Monetary Fund had Islamabad maintained friendly relations with New Delhi.
वह जम्मू कश्मीर की तरक्की के लिए, यहाँ के लोगों की जिंदगी को बेहतर बनाने के लिए, जबकि पाकिस्तान में फाइनेंशियल एड का बेजान इस्तेमाल लंबे समय से होता चला रहा है। दूसरे मुल्कों से पैसे लेकर पाकिस्तान में दहशतगर्दी की फैक्ट्री चलती है मेरे दोस्तों।
A few examples of Pakistan's cross-border terrorism include 2008 Mumbai attacks were a series of terrorist attacks which took place in November 2008. 10 young men controlled from Pakistan arrived in Mumbai from Karachi on speedboats. The 2016 Uri attack was carried out in September 2016 by 4 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists from Pakistan against the Indian Army Brigade headquarters. A Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist rammed an explosives-laden car into a convoy of the CRPF in 2019. Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Toiba took responsibility of Riyasi terror attack in Jammu, in which 9 Hindu pilgrims en route to Vaishno Devi were killed and another 33 injured in 2024. On the night of September 28, 2016, the Indian Army launched surgical strikes against terrorist camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The strike had followed a terrorist attack carried out by Pakistan-based and Pakistani Army-sponsored Jaish-e-Mohammed on 16th of September 2016. Notably, the theme for the general debate of the 79th session of the General Assembly is leaving no one behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development and human dignity for present and future generations. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. The armed forces of 5 countries conducted joint maritime exercises in a portion of the South China Sea as China carried out its own military drills. Austrians vote for a new parliament, with the far-right Freedom Party hopes to win the first general election. Search for 48 missing migrants renews in what could be Canary Islands' deadliest incident in 30 years.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. In a notable show of military collaboration, the armed forces of 5 nations participated in joint maritime exercises in the South China Sea. These exercises come in the wake of increased confrontations between the Philippines and China over contested areas in South China Sea. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us more.
In a significant display of military cooperation, the armed forces of 5 countries conducted joint maritime exercise in the South China Sea on Saturday. The exercise involved the Philippines, the United States, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. The exercises aim to enhance military interoperability within the region. The Philippine Armed Forces confirmed that these drills took place within Manila's exclusive economic zone, highlighting the collaborative effort to bolster defense capabilities amid increasing tensions. This military exercise comes on the heels of the heightened encounters between the Philippines and China over disputed areas in the South China Sea, particularly the Scarborough Shoal, a region that has been under the control of China's Coast Guard for more than a decade. China has also been conducting its own military drills in this area, showcasing troops and weaponry on deck. Meanwhile, Malaysia's foreign minister embraced a conciliatory tone on the South China Sea while addressing the United Nations General Assembly.
We must collectively pursue a different vision of South China Sea, a future in which this region is a zone of peace, stability, and cooperation. We must adopt a collaborative approach embedded in diplomacy and dialogue. Thus, I call upon all countries to abide by the UNCLOS in the conduct of maritime governance. We must prioritize peaceful coexistence. This is also one of the many reasons the member states must continue to work together.
The Scarborough Shoal remains one of Asia's most contentious maritime features, with China asserting claims over nearly all of the South China Sea, despite overlapping claims from neighboring countries including Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Experts suggest that these developments could further complicate the geopolitical landscape in the region as nations navigate their sovereignty and security interests. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Austrian voters have given the far-right Freedom Party its first general election victory, according to early projections. Led by Herbert Kickl, the FPO is projected to receive 29.1% of the vote, surpassing Chancellor Karl Nehammer's conservative Austrian People's Party at 26.2% and the centre-left Social Democrats at 20.4%. This shift highlights growing support for hard-right parties in Europe, driven by concerns over immigration and economic issues. Leader of the FPO, Herbert Kickl, expressed optimism about the outcome while casting his vote in Vienna.
Now let's leave it at that. Now let's let the voters make their judgment, their vote. And you have always said that I will take note of the will of the voters, whatever the outcomes. Now the voters have their say again. They have had to wait for 5 years, and now they can give their response to everything that has happened and express their hope. Then we all see what comes out, and then we all analyze things.
Argentine President Javier Milei vowed to shake up next year's midterm legislative elections during a high-energy rally in Buenos Aires as the country grapples with its worst economic crisis in decades. In a rock star-like entrance at Lezama Park, Milei pushed through cheering crowds, singing on stage before launching an attack on the political establishment, calling it a caste and accusing journalists of corruption. Supporters dressed as lions and wielding cardboard chainsaws, Milei's symbol for slashing the size of government, backed his tough austerity measures. Since taking office in December, Milei has cut billions in spending to control sky-high inflation, but poverty has surged to nearly 53%. Winning the 2025 elections would give his party, La Libertad Avanza, more power in Congress, which currently limits his legislative agenda.
I ask you to move forward with faith and confidence. From now on, we will only have good news, and in 2025, we will make a big rumble in the elections.
The Conservative Party's opposition in Britain convenes for their annual conference on Sunday, engaged in a struggle over the party's future direction. The four-day meeting in Birmingham, Central England, comes 3 months after the Tories were ousted from power by Labour. The get-together will see 4 candidates audition in front of parliamentary colleagues and grassroots members as they bid to replace ex-Premier Rishi Sunak as the next Tory leader. Kemi Badenoch, Robert Jenrick, James Cleverly and Tom Tugendhat will all make pitches in Britain's second-largest city. The Kremlin announced on Sunday that amendments to Russia's nuclear doctrine had been prepared and were about to be formalized. The recent statement means the required documents setting out the circumstances in which nuclear arms can be used by Moscow will be updated. Earlier on Wednesday, President Vladimir Putin warned that Russia could respond with nuclear weapons if it were attacked with conventional arms on their country. Also, Russia would consider any assault on it supported by a nuclear power to be a joint attack. At least 13 people were wounded in a Russian air attack on Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia on Sunday. Ukraine Emergency Service said 10 private houses were damaged and 1 apartment block partially collapsed in the attack. Meanwhile, on Sunday, the Russian Defense Ministry said that its air defense system downed 125 Ukrainian drones overnight, while a residential apartment was hit in Voronezh. Ukraine also launched drone and shelling attack in Russia's western region of Belgorod. Governor of Belgorod said that 1 man died in Shebekino city, while 8 civilians injured. In Pakistan, 3 passengers who arrived from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan's Karachi airport exhibited symptoms of monkeypox during medical screening on Sunday. According to media, the passengers have been transferred to the Sindh government hospital in Nipa area for further evaluation. Airport authorities disinfected the immigration area and walkways with spray as a precautionary measure. On September 20th, a new suspected case of Mpox was reported at Jinnah International Airport when a passenger was admitted to a hospital for further evaluation. Sources indicate that the patient, a 26-year-old man from Abbottabad who arrived from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, was flagged for suspected Mpox during a health screening upon his arrival at the airport. Patrol boats and helicopters searched on Sunday for about 48 migrants missing since their boat sank near the Spanish island of El Hierro in what threatens to be the deadliest such incident in 30 years of crossing from Africa to the Canary Islands. Emergency and rescue services have confirmed that 9 people, including 1 child, died after their boat sank early Saturday morning. Rescuers were able to pick up 27 of 84 migrants who were trying to reach the Spanish coast. 3 patrol boats and 3 helicopters were taking part in the renewed search on Sunday. Authorities reported that the migrants hailed from Mali, Mauritania and Senegal.
As the head of European Commission, von der Leyen has said mechanisms to transfer minors to other parts of Europe can be activated. So we ask the Spanish government to activate it so we can really tackle this humanitarian crisis that the Canary Islands are going through, of which yesterday was the highest point. If all the predictions become a reality of those who were in that boat, where 48 are still missing, it would be the biggest crisis and the most dramatic we have experienced over the last 30 years in the Canaries.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The 21st China-ASEAN Expo concluded in Nanning city of South China. The 5-day event served as a platform for exhibitors to seek opportunities and markets and for visitors to get access to products from different countries. The expo witnessed the signing of 109 projects, of which 93 involved investments of over $71.31 million. Chinese President Xi Jinping awarded the Friendship Medal to the former President of Brazil and current head of the New Development Bank, Dilma Rousseff, for her immense contribution in building the relationship between China and Brazil and for her efforts in BRICS group. New Zealand reclaimed the world record for the largest mass haka after more than 6,000 people performed the legendary Maori war dance at Eden Park Rugby Stadium in Auckland. The world record was previously held by France since September 2014. More than 35,000 Belgian Catholics gathered on Sunday at the King Baudouin Stadium in Brussels to attend the Eucharist led by Pope Francis. The Mass closes the 87-year-old Pontiff 46th international trip. The second edition of the UP International Trade Show is being held from September 25 to Sunday at India Expo Mart in Greater Noida near New Delhi. The laser show and Khadi fashion show were the main highlights of the third day, while the cultural evening performances added to the event's vibrancy. With Saturday and Sunday being holidays, many are anticipated to take advantage of the break to visit the International Trade Fair and explore their favorite products. Addressing the second edition of the UP International Trade Show, India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's efforts in developing Uttar Pradesh will help India become a $5 trillion economy in the first phase and will serve as a cornerstone for India to become a $35 trillion economy.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में देश मुख्यमंत्री श्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के नेतृत्व में उत्तर प्रदेश दोनों मिलकर एक डबल इंजन के रूप में देश को पहले चरण में तो 5 ट्रिलियन लेकिन आगे चल के $35 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बना के एक विकसित भारत, एक समृद्ध भारत की तरफ तेजी से लेके जाएंगे.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. We will discuss the statement by Dr. S. Jaishankar at UNGA, who strongly criticized Pakistan for harboring terrorism. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and a quick recap of the headlines. After Hassan Nasrallah, the Israeli army kills another top Hezbollah commander, Nabil Kaouk. Lebanon's caretaker PM Mikati says there is no option but the diplomatic option. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar hits out at Pakistan, stating that Pakistan's cross-border terrorism will never succeed, warns the neighbouring country of consequences for its actions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanks listeners as radio program Mann Ki Baat completes 10 years of its broadcast, highlights various campaigns and initiatives launched by the government in last 10 years. Welcome back. While addressing at the United Nations General Assembly, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar literally showed the mirror to Pakistan and made it clear that each action of Pakistan will have a response from India. Now, to discuss more on this, I am joined by Dr. Arvind Gupta, former senior diplomat and director VIF from New Delhi. Sir, a very warm welcome to the broadcast, first of all. Dr. Gupta, when India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the UNGA, he highlighted various issues of global concern, from conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine to climate issues to food security. To begin with, what is your take on Dr. Jaishankar's speech?
Dr. Jaishankar's speech was on the theme of let no one be left behind.
Yeah.
This is the theme of the UN this year. And there has been the summit of the future as well, in which Prime Minister had also spoken a few days ago. So this is a time when world leaders are focused on looking, on assessing what is going on in the world today, and all are deeply worried about the situation in the world, and trying to find some solutions for the future. So most of the speech was about the state of the world and how India is making its contribution for global peace and stability and security, and what India can offer to the world. So this was the context in which the speech was made. Then, of course, he spoke about Pakistan, which you just mentioned. It was like a response to what the Pakistani Prime Minister spoke a few days ago, which was, as Jaishankar ji said, was bizarre allegations that were made in that speech. So India was left with no option but to respond and call out the Pakistani lies and slander.
Do you think it's a strong answer to Pakistan that this is a new Bharat and things will go, I mean, nothing will go unpunished?
Yes, I think the message was very clear that cross-border terrorism is unacceptable, and no action of Pakistan will go unresponded, and there will be consequences for Pakistan if they continue to do so. So that message was very clear.
Okay. You just mentioned, in UNGA, world leaders gather and they discussed about what is going on in the world, crisis to conflicts. You also mentioned what India can offer to the world. What can you say? What can India offer to the world?
See, I think one thing that has been coming out very clearly in the Prime Minister's speech as well as Dr. Jaishankar's speech is that the world does not want these wars. And India is articulating that desire of most countries that they want peace. So I think this was a good place and a forum, forum for India to articulate its long-held belief, which was expressed by Prime Minister Modi in 2022 as well, that this should not be an era of wars, and all the disputes and resolutions should be resolved by diplomacy and dialogue. Then there was also the message that one Earth, one planet, one world, one future is a commitment from India. And that's why India has launched several initiatives like One World, One Grid, One World, One Health, and so on. And for that, India today has a lot to offer. India has digital infrastructure, public infrastructure. A lot of experience has been gathered from CoWIN app onwards. And the fintech, the advances in fintech, which India is offering its experience and expertise to other countries, and many countries are taking it. So India is also emerging as a voice of global South. Then there was also this message that there is a need to work together on global issues. And again, India has shown by its example that it is ready to work with many countries. And at the G20, getting Africa Union into G20 was an effort by India to project the voice of the global South at the top global fora. So there are many initiatives like this which were outlined both by the Prime Minister and Mr. Jaishankar, and to give a positive message at this very important meeting this year at the UNGA.
Okay. This is very true. The world is watching India. There is no doubt about this fact. But one thing, Dr. Gupta is very clear that from Dr. S. Jaishankar's UNG address, that every action by Pakistan will have a strong reply. And this is New Bharat, like I said as well. And that's what PM Modi also said in one of his speeches. What message goes out from here for Pakistan and the world?
I think Pakistan knows very well that this government is not going to tolerate terrorism. And talks and terrorism do not go together. And that in the last 2 years, whether it was surgical strikes or the Balakot strikes, so India did react to those provocations. So Pakistan knows that this is a confident India, this is a strong India with a strong leadership, and it will have to take what the Indian leader says seriously. But you see, Pakistan is also in a strange situation. It is, as Mr. Jaishankar said, it has become a dysfunctional country. It is looking for doles to survive. It is surviving on IMF loans, and it is, I think, going for the 25th time it has gone to the IMF, and I think it's got $7 billion. So day-to-day living is very difficult in Pakistan, as your screen, the channel is also showing.
Yeah.
And the only export they have is terrorism. So I think by talking about India's policies in Kashmir, etc., they are looking for relevance for themselves. They have very little to the world to offer except terrorism. But they berate India, and that's what Shahbaz Sharif did a few days ago. They berate India and try to remain relevant. But I think the world has seen through their game. And nobody is really interested in these kind of actions by Pakistan. So they are not going to get any sympathy from the world on this. And when India says that it will respond and react, I think they know that there are several options which India has, and India can exercise those options depending upon the circumstances.
Dr. Gupta, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also said that, you're also mentioning this, a dysfunctional nation coveting the lands of others must be exposed and must be countered. Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, and it can have no expectation of impunity. On the contrary, actions will certainly have consequences. A clear-cut message, Dr. Gupta, to a nation facing significant economic challenges, like we were discussing just a while back, and political instability, that think not twice or thrice, but 1,000 times before you act. How do you react to this?
No, I think Pakistan is facing certainly a very difficult situation. But let us not underestimate Pakistan's capability to cause mischief and to mislead people. It plays the Islamic card, it plays the nuclear card, and it plays the victim card. It says that it is the victim of terrorism, which is actually not untrue. It is facing a lot of pushback from the Taliban, who at one point of time they were supporting. And today the TTP has turned against Pakistan. the Baluchis have turned against Pakistan. And Pakistan is faced with very serious problem in terms of dealing with these groups. So Pakistan is now reaping what it sowed. And it has got embroiled in a political crisis, in economic crisis, and in security crisis. And its two neighbors, Afghanistan and Pakistan, with them, it has a very troubled relationship at this moment.
Okay.
But as I said, they have learnt how to live with this kind of situation for the last 77 years. And they are able to garner some sympathy from some of their friends, particularly in the Islamic world. And they have been getting some kind of help also from some of these countries. But I think those countries also, particularly in the Gulf, have realized the true nature of Pakistan. But I think being a Muslim country, Islamic country, there is some kind of a solidarity. They go begging to them and they get some kind of a help also. And it is a very large country. It has about 240 million people. So, and it has a very geostrategic location. So it encaches on these assets, and that is how the rest of the world, doesn't want to see destabilize Pakistan. So some kind of a drip treatment is given to them, and they continue to survive.
Definitely, sir. The world is looking at India today, definitely, and the reasons are countless. Significant economic growth, strategic geopolitical position, increasing role in global governance. How do you see India's role in resolving global issues?
You see, many of these global issues are not of India's making. And they are also caused by factors which are not in India's control. So India can voice the desire of the various countries, all the countries, that these issues should be resolved. But it is not in India's hand or control. So while India can project itself as a country which can play a role because it has engagement on all sides. But we should not overestimate any country's capability, including India, in terms of resolving these very, very complex issues. One of which is Russia-Ukraine war, which is actually a proxy war between Russia and NATO. And other is the highly destabilized situation in the Middle East or West Asia, which is really a war between Iran and its proxies with Israel. And it is likely to even escalate further. And so many countries are involved and there are historical baggages. So while India can be seen as a country which can play a role, but unless all sides agree to it, we should not overestimate our capabilities.
All right, but the message is clear that each action of Pakistan will have a response from India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in on the broadcast. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Authorities scrambling to clean up after Hurricane Helene in the southeastern US. Flood fury in parts of Nepal, 130 dead in flood and landslide incidents. Day 3 of second test match between India and Bangladesh called off due to wet outfield.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Some weather updates now. Hurricane Helene tore through the southeast United States this week, leaving a path of devastation. Dozens of people died as a result of catastrophic flooding. Nearly 3 million homes and businesses remained without power from Florida to Carolina. Officials continued daring rescues with boats, helicopters and large vehicles to help those stranded in floodwaters. More in this report.
Authorities in the southeastern US are facing a tough cleanup task after Hurricane Helene, one of the most powerful storms, hit the country. The death toll has risen to 63. The hurricane devastated parts of Horseshoe Beach, Florida, reducing homes to debris. Despite the destructions, residents remain determined to rebuild.
I don't know. I only got a little bit of water in my house and I could do repairs. Debbie, it messed up stuff, just little minor stuff. This has took my whole life. But we will come back. Good Lord goes before us, and we will come back. It's 5 generations lived in this house, from my grandmother, my father, myself, my daughter, son, and my granddaughter was raised in this house. So there's a lot of memories here. It breaks your heart. It just devastates you. I don't know. There's no other way to describe it.
Hurricane Helene also caused significant damage in Pinellas County, Florida, but Governor Ron DeSantis reported 11 fatalities.
You saw storm surge in excess of 15 feet. So that is much, much more significant than what we've seen in recent storms like Idalia that hit, and certainly Debbie. And that is really, really destructive. There have been 11 confirmed storm-related fatalities, and that ranges from things like traffic fatalities to people that were impacted directly by storm surge.
In North Carolina, flooding cut off the city of Asheville, prompting daring rescues by boat. Atlanta saw 13 inches of rain, where farmers in South Georgia assessed damage to the state's $1 billion cotton crop and $400 million pecan crop. At least 3 million customers were without power across 5 states, with restoration expected to take several days. President Biden was briefed on the storm's impact, and he directed authorities to speed up recovery efforts and deploy more rescue teams. Damage estimates range from $95 billion to $110 billion, making this one of the most expensive storms in US history. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
In Nepal, heavy downpour and landslides have caused over 130 deaths. Relief and rescue operations are underway. Thousands of people have been relocated to safety. Meanwhile, several districts in India's eastern state of Bihar are on flood alert after a significant increase in the water levels of nearby rivers. India Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai held a meeting to review the situation.
Over 130 people have lost their lives in floods and landslide across Nepal. Authorities actively carried out rescue and relief works and shifted injured persons to hospitals. The heavy rains, which started on Friday, slowed on Saturday night but were expected to continue through the weekend. Affected areas include Kathmandu Valley, Bagmati Province, Koshi Province and Madhesh Province. Meanwhile, a flood alert has been sounded in 13 districts of Indian state of Bihar, situated along the swollen Kosi, Gandak and Ganga rivers. Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai held a meeting with NDRF on flood situations in Patna on September 29.
बाढ़ की स्थिति बिहार में बनी हुई है। कुछ इलाके में बाढ़ अपना प्रभाव दे चुका है। अभी 8 टीम को रिजर्व में रखा गया है और 11 टीमें अभी बाढ़ प्रभावित क्षेत्रों में भेज दी गई और 11 टीमें विभिन्न स्थानों पे हैं।
The significant increase of water in these rivers have affected millions.
नेपाल से आने वाला पानी घट रहा है, ये हमारे लिए, लेकिन पूरी तरह सरकार मुस्तैदी के साथ सारे तटबंध को देख रही है। लगातार मुख्यमंत्री जी के निर्देश पर समीक्षा भी हो रही है और रात भर लोग पेट्रोलिंग कर रहे हैं, सभी बांध पर पेट्रोलिंग कर रहे हैं।
In Araria, houses and railway tracks were inundated due to a flood-like situation. Several train operations are also affected.
घर में पानी घुस गया है, कल से खाना नहीं बनाया है, पूरा पानी लग गया है, सब चौकी के ऊपर सामान रखे हुए हैं, पूरा चूल्हा में पानी घुस गया है, कहाँ चूल्हा वाला सब पानी डूब के खाना तक नहीं बनाया है।
Farmers in North Bihar are also affected by the unexpected late-season floods that have damaged thousands of acres of land of standing kharif crops. The Indian Meteorological Department predicted heavy rainfall and warned of flash flood risk in parts of the state. Bureau Report, DD, India.
You're watching DD Indian News. Our time now for sport. And the day 3 of India-Bangladesh second test match has been called off without a ball being bowled, and umpires have expressed dissatisfaction regarding the soggy nature of the outfield. Day 2 of the second test was also washed out entirely without a single ball bowled at the Green Park Stadium in Kanpur. The weather has raised concerns about whether there will be enough play to force a result. This could be a huge blow for Bangladesh as they already trail 0-1 in the two-match series. This test match comes under World Test Championship cycle, and if this match ends in a draw, both the teams will share equal points. Sri Lanka defeated New Zealand by an innings and 154 runs on Sunday in Galle, clinching the test series 2-0. In their first innings, New Zealand struggled after being bowled out for just 88 in response to Sri Lanka's imposing total of 602 for 5 and declared. New Zealand performed better in the second innings, scoring 360 runs, but ultimately suffered their heaviest defeat against Sri Lanka. Glenn Phillips, Mitchell Santner, Devon Conway and Tom Blundell each scored half-centuries, but New Zealand could not force Sri Lanka to bat again. With this victory, Sri Lanka climbed to third place in the World Test Championship standings, while 2021 champions New Zealand fell to 7th. Cole Palmer's record 4 first-half goals led Chelsea to a stunning 4-2 victory over Brighton and Hove Albion in Premier League. Goalkeeping errors and speedy counter-attacks contributed to a thrilling encounter, with Brighton's Jorginho Rutter putting the visitors ahead in the 7th minute before 22-year-old Palmer's scored a hat-trick. Palmer made it 4 shortly before half-time, becoming the first player to score 4 goals in the first half of Premier League match. Second half remained goalless with few chances created by both the sides. This win put Chelsea to third place in standings, putting an end to Brighton's unbeaten start to the season. Newcastle United held defending champions Manchester City to a 1-1 draw in thrilling encounter at St James Park. City took the lead in the first half through Hosco. However, Newcastle fought back and were awarded a penalty midway through the second half when Anthony Gordon was brought down by Doordarshan. Gordon stepped up and calmly converted the penalty to level the scores. For the second year, Cuba allowed foreign baseball scouts to visit Havana. They came to assess players for international signings. Scouts from Japan, Venezuela and Italy praised Cuban athletes' talent. The Cuban Baseball Federation said 69 players will try out this weekend. The players are from under 15, under 18, under 23 and senior categories.
For the second consecutive year in 60 years, the Cuban government allowed scouts from foreign teams to visit Caribbean island to evaluate players in Havana for possible signings abroad. Scouts from baseball teams in countries such as Japan, Venezuela and Italy praised the Caribbean athletes' talent and expressed interest in collaborating with them.
Cuban players are definitely smart, especially in terms of baseball knowledge. It is indeed an opportunity, especially for us. We know that Cuba is a baseball powerhouse, and having international scouts come to check us out and to be hired in international baseball is an excellent opportunity to promote Cuban baseball and above all to show our potential in the global market.
The Cuban Baseball Federation said that 69 players will participate in tryouts of the under-15, under-18, under-23 and senior categories during the weekend at the Latin American Stadium in Havana. In 2019, Cuba opened to Major League Baseball scouts from the United States, but the agreement between the Cuban Federation and MLB was cancelled shortly thereafter by the administration of the former President Donald Trump, as it was deemed to violate Washington's sanctions on Havana. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. And to download the DD India mobile app, you can scan the QR code on the screen. And from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.